Hey y'all, just popping on to say what's up, I'm gonna paint, getting right to it. So glad you're here. Okay, new peonies popped. If you're new here, just know, watercolor obsessed. I'm here to bring you joy and teach you how to find joy with watercolor. But this week, it's all about peonies. All about peonies. So this variety just popped in my garden. This was the first to pop, and this is lovely. I just picked him last night, but he's getting near end of life. But look at this one. Look at the pink center. Look at that. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna paint some peonies. And I'm going to use this new palette. Did you see my video I just posted? I created another watercolor palette. Super fun. Sorry I'm making all the noise. I just created this palette. And you're like, what do you mean created? So look at that. Look at that vintage tin. Isn't that so freaking cute? So I prefer to buy tube watercolors like that. And put them into little half pans like this. Can you see that? I like the clear ones, so they're a little hard to see on screen. Little half pans. I put a magnet in the half pan. So, like this. These little baby magnets, see that? And then I fill them up with the paint. Because the thing is, typically paints in tubes, no matter what manufacturer, you can get half pans pre-made from most manufacturers, but there's a lot of filler in them. I'm going to be honest, like Daniel Smith's half pans, like not a fan. So there's additives in pre-made, pre-manufactured half pans because they have to be a little bit more, like they have to dry harder. So they don't typically paint as vibrant, which is why I like to buy the tubes and make my own little half pans. And then of course I get to put them in an adorable tin, and that just makes me super happy. So I'm just getting set up here. Bear with me for a minute. But I'm gonna paint with this new palette. I have to be honest. I picked this up. This is Turner Watercolors. And so far, I'm a little disappointed with the color variety. So let me show you. I swatched these out and I'm kind of disappointed. Like these blues, except for that one, like that one's cool, but most of these blues look very similar. The yellows, so disappointing. Like these yellows are so similar to one another. I'm a little bummed out, I gotta be honest. But I haven't like dove in and did a full painting yet. So I'm gonna try to stay positive. I'm gonna try to stay positive and hope that I like them. I'm just pulling up this account on another device so I can see your comments if you have any. So just bear with me. I'm getting in here. Good heavens. So has anybody here ever made a palette like this before? Anybody ever tried it? It's super fun. I'm such a fan. Oh my gosh. I am like getting so annoyed with technology today. Anyway, I'm gonna start painting super soon. What should I paint? Any requests? Maybe I should do peonies because I did say this week's all about peonies. I should do peonies. I'm gonna do peonies. Okay. Why does it not know that I'm alive? Or that I'm alive. That I'm live. That's super weird. Okay, I'm just gonna have to check on comments every now and then. Okay. All right, I'm gonna paint one of these. these lovelies. And we'll see how it goes. Adjust this so I can, all right. All right, I'm gonna use my 1/2 inch dagger. And let's see, I'm getting used to these paints and they're not fully cured, so probably gonna end up picking up too much pigment as I work, but you know, we'll see how it goes. I'm probably gonna do a side view. Well, that's a pretty color. All right. I haven't done a side view of a flower in a while, so you're gonna just have to bear with me because this might be an epic failure. Okay, I'm liking these colors. I'm using 2 different colors so far. Really kind of pretty. Maybe I'll have a change of heart. Or maybe I'll just be happy with the reds and won't like the blues in this palette. We'll see. I don't like what I did just there. I'm gonna lift a little. Oh, they lift nice. Oh, they lift really nice. Okay. 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 I had some pinks on my brush, didn't fully clean it off. That's okay. All right, this is pretty. I'm down with these colors so far. Thanks for hopping on, friends. If you're just hopping on, I am painting some peonies with a brand new palette I just made. If you didn't see the video yet, go check it out. I can't speak. Hi, so glad you're here. Thanks for hopping on. I'm gonna try to prop this up a little because my lights are creating a glare. Not much better, is that? Oh, that's better. Ordered a tin and empty pots to yeah, absolutely. I love creating palettes this way. So we're talking about creating our own cured little half pans from tube paints instead of buying like sets of half pans. And then I use these vintage tins to store them, and it just makes me happy. And let's see, I love Peonies are my favorite. Your painting is lovely. Thank you so much. I am using, I believe, Academy. Wait, no, hold on. Paul Rubens today, which I'm happy with. It's another really nice, affordable option for sure. A yellow just like disappeared. That's strange. Whatever. You used your watercolors today? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Tell me what you painted. I want to know. I want to know. And no comparisons. Nope. Nobody, nope. There's no fun there. Let's see. Maybe I'll paint a little view of this dude here. Just getting some very preliminary stuff in here for a different type of peony. We'll see where that goes. How do I mix enough of a specific color to have enough to use? So my answer to that is going to be probably very different than most. I do not worry about color mixing. I very rarely use a palette to actually mix colors. I pull colors right from the palette, and if I want colors to blend together, I kind of do that on the page. So I have a very, very different approach to that. Now, the one thing I will say, if you are mixing a color because you're really loving a particular color and you want to make sure you have that specific ratio kind of mixed and on hand, that's still wet. I would highly recommend not worrying too much, like if you mix too much of a color, because watercolor just comes back to life after it's dry, right? So you really don't have to worry about, you know, mixing too much. You can just let it hang out there on your palette, or if you've mixed it in a special like little dish, just let it go and come back and reactivate it when you need it. That's all. But I truly encourage folks not to worry about color mixing because it causes so much stress, unnecessary stress. These are Turner watercolors. I just got them. I mix on the page for sure. The question was, do you mix on the page or in a tin before putting brush to paper? Most often I mix on the page. Don't be disappointed with yourself. There's really, I personally feel like there's very little room in this process. Like there's no value in being disappointed in yourself. I'm just going to say it. Or there's very little value. Like if disappointment spurs you on and inspires you to be better, fine. But don't live there, because every brushstroke that you put to the page has value and it's teaching you something. So, I do not accept that. I do not. These paints are a little weird today because I mentioned at the start they're not cured. So I am literally I'm picking up too much paint at times here. So it's a little tricksy, but you know, we're working it out. Thank you. Yes, learning opportunities. I don't mix, but black really can't be mixed because it's like the absence of color, and I don't know the theory behind it. I rarely use black. I use a color called Muddy, which is just kind of a combination of a lot of different colors, and it's just a nice, rich alternative to black. These Turner colors are, they are moderately staining, which is always, you know, something to be aware of. So they do lift, but they don't lift all the way. It's not like a big lift. It's a moderate lift, because as soon as they hit the paper, they're making their mark. They're really soaking right in. High staining colors soak right in and stake their claim on the paper, and they're stubborn to get out. Yeah, so if I don't palette mix, do I buy the colors I want? So yes, as someone who doesn't do a lot of palette mixing and doesn't really get into all that, I do have a larger collection of watercolors. Yes. I much prefer, and now I'll be honest, I do this for a living. So, part of a lot of times, like when I'm buying new watercolors, it's a business expense. So I'm not blind to that fact. Like not everyone has a budget to go out and just, buy all the different colors. Folks need to learn to mix colors, for budgetary reasons. And I get that. But you can have a really beautiful palette of 36 that you get on Amazon, from wherever, and you can just focus on those colors and how they mingle with one another. And, you can, now, if you are committed to like high quality paints and you can only afford like 6 tubes, then you're going to need to commit to learning how to mix colors for sure. Yeah. But I do love a color, I love brands like Mission Gold is a great one. Like Mission Gold has some of the most gorgeous blends that are almost impossible to mix. And I live for stuff like that because I love having a lot of color options at my disposal. Big time. Yes, whenever I get frustrated with my painting, I'm reading this, I let it dry. It's like a fresh start. Yes. I love adding detail with the small brush, and I tend to add it way earlier than the quote rules might dictate. And I add a lot of imaginary detailing, like I am right now. And I mean, this bud is imaginary too, so she don't really exist, at least not in front of me. Yes. Yeah, check out Mission Gold. They have a set, I'll show you. I believe, this is Mission Gold. Let me double check. I've been painting with this one for a few days. Kind of forgot how much I loved it. Oh gosh, this one has, this is Mission Gold. So this is my Mission Gold palette. You ready for this? It's crazy. Look at that. So like, creamy light pinks and stuff. Yes, bud.
Aaron's leaving.
Okay. You're soaking wet, my dude.
It's raining.
Okay, does she need to see me?
I just come in case.
But I'm working.
Okay, to say.
Okay, tell her I'm okay. Sorry, everyone. So yeah, this is Mission Gold. So like, look at these purples. Now you could mix these if you had a white, but I just like that they exist for me. Look at these blues. Look at this. The pinks. And it just goes, I mean, you can tell this is a well-used, well-loved palette. I think I painted with this palette for the better part of a year when I first got it. And like now, you're going to see a lot of color on the mixing part of this palette. I didn't do this. This was for a set of note cards that I was developing where we were taking photographs of paint mixed on a palette. We did this on purpose. So this isn't me mixing on the palette. This is me like faking it for product photography. Yes, I love this palette. It's one of my favorites. And of course, the cuteness of the vintage tin just doesn't get better. So yeah, Mission Gold is great quality. The clarity, and you're not going to get like, you know, the Daniel Smith with like the chameleon colors and all of the granulation. They're very clean pigments, extremely clean pigments. Yeah, I don't really mix on lids. No, not much. Not much. No, I'm not saying ever, but no, not much. Yeah. My graphic designer who was in charge of photographing, some of you may have seen them at the holidays. We had the palette collection, and we had a calendar, and we had note cards, and they were photographs of my palette lids. And now some of my palette lids had paint in them, but they weren't terribly like attractive. So we zhuzhed them up a little. You got an inside secret. Keep it quiet. Yeah, I will say this, and I know many people, when they think of painting and starting a painting journey, it's like, oh, I got to learn how to mix colors. No, you don't. You don't. If it's stressing you out, get out. Don't stop doing it. Stop doing it. Like, come back to it. You can always come back and decide to hone a particular skill later on. Always. But don't get stuck there. If you're really getting frustrated, do what I do and just say, you know what? I'm going to abandon the pursuit of mixing colors for a while. I'm not going to worry about it. If there's something in your painting journey that is making you want to quit, stop doing that thing. Don't quit the painting. Quit the thing. Right? If your paper's frustrating you, quit that paper. Try a different paper. Don't quit painting. If color mixing is stressing you out, literally like cover your lid with Scotch tape so you can't mix on, or no, cover it with something absorbent, because you could totally mix on Scotch tape. Just quit the thing that's frustrating you. Don't quit the practice. Oh, I've got another one because someone commented recently. If you are actively involved in a tutorial or a course, I'm just going to say this, and it is, you are not vibing with that teacher and it is causing you anxiety, stop the course for a while. I'm not saying you have to quit it forever, but take a break. I have seen too many people over the years literally quit painting because of a course that they just didn't flow with. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You have to find a teacher that suits you. And I'm not necessarily saying I'm your teacher. I mean, I would happy to be your teacher. That's what I'm here for. But you need to find your teacher. Or, you know, there's not just one teacher for people. You know what I'm saying? I think you get what I'm saying. Don't stay in a course. I'm not saying you have to scrap it and lose the money and never come back to it, but take a break. Nope, no quitting. Nobody, nope. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. You are so sweet. Game changing. Oh, okay. I like game changing. Okay, I feel like stopping this painting and doing another one. So that's what I'm gonna do. If I can find my little tool. I feel like this one needs to dry a little. I'm not sure. I'm gonna explain to you my thought process, why I'm stopping this. Yes, I'm gonna do that because I think that's important. Okay, so I'm not sure if I wanna add more because I'm really actually loving the composition. I'm unsure because it's kind of congested down here, but I really like the white space that I've left behind here. I know it needs a little something, something probably over here, but I'm not sure yet. So instead of going in when I'm not sure, I'm just gonna, and this is getting kind of like heavy, so I wanna let it dry and come back. And I love my leaves. And I don't wanna touch them. And I feel like if I stay here on this, I'm gonna touch them. So I don't wanna touch them. So, what am I gonna do? Do I start something? Yeah, I wanna do another one of these side view peonies because I just don't feel like I was as convincing as it could have been. I've challenged myself to be a little bit more like realistic this week. That's just my personal challenge. That is not something you have to do. Can I just show you like what I've got propped up over here? Look at that. I've got one of those, what are these called? Like a frog or something? They've got little spikies in them, and I have 3 of these little babies in here, plus one of my bearded irises, which I'm just so, like, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? So pretty. Okay, I'm gonna put that back over here. I'm gonna flip this back down, and we're gonna keep on painting. Yeah, so when you stop doesn't necessarily mean your painting is done. That is a huge lesson to learn. I'll say it again. When you decide to stop on a painting at any given time during any given painting session, does not mean your painting is done. All right, what was I painting with? I lost my... I paint all of it. I love when my flowers are blooming. I am very specific, like about blooming times in my garden. I love to paint from real life. Oh yeah, sure, I can do the iris. Yeah. But I also do a lot from my imagination, and I use Google Images a ton. So yeah, I'm gonna switch up to Mission Gold, friends. Hope that's okay. I need her back. I need Mission Gold in my life. And let's do this iris. All right, I think that's a pretty, no, that's kind of neat. More of a classic. All right, I gotta spray this bad boy down and get ready to paint here. So, whoop. Oh, I feel like I need a bigger piece of paper for an iris. I'm gonna feel way too constricted. Way too constricted here. Friends, I have to tell you, full disclosure, I may have to take a break and go check on my son. He's 5.5, but he's 5.5, so yeah, I'm gonna go check on him. So, I'm going to let you take a looky-loo here. Hopefully you'll stay with me. Please stay with me at some of the peonies that I've been working on this week. Oh my dear God. I just hit the camera like really hard. Okay, I'll be right back. Promise. Okay, we're all good. He's all good. All right, where did I put it? Where did I put my... There it is. Okay, iris. I strive to be as calm as you while I paint. I'm not always calm, I promise, but I think it's because I have no fear. I don't fear wasting paper. I got over that a long time ago. I don't fear wasting paint because I've bought way too much paint. I will have paint for the rest of my life. I have a lot of my fears I've put to the side. So I have my watercolor brush set that's coming out on Amazon later this summer, and I'm going to be offering a 1/4-inch dagger and a 1/2-inch dagger. 1/2-inch daggers are very hard to come by in the market, but not for long. All right, let's do this. Are you ready? Are you ready? You're ready? Ready? All right. This is Mission Gold. I'm using this lovely peach. I'm using my 1/2-inch dagger, and I am happy about it. Oh my gosh, this palette was made for this flower, for the love. Oh, this flower is redonkulous. Went a little strong with the blue, but it's okay. It is so dreary out today, friends, so I apologize for the less than ideal lighting here tonight. I don't know what the name is of this particular iris, but she is speaking my love language. Let me tell you what. She's got this crazy, like the bearded part is this bright yellow like that. Oh my gosh. My bright yellow is not even doing it justice, but she's just gorgeous. Peaches and purples and yellows and the ruffly parts. Oh, it's so lovely. No, not on wet paper. I just put down quite a bit of pigment, very much in a wet fashion initially, and then started painting into the wet pigment. Friends, I have to tell you, I just recorded a YouTube vid that I am so excited about, and it addresses just kind of like what you just brought up. Like, wait a minute. Did you wet the paper first? Like, because I think what you're seeing, and the reason you ask the questions, you're seeing all these colors so quickly like blend together. And so I did a video on this like symbiotic relationship between the two techniques that are kind of the foundation of watercolor, which is wet on wet and wet on dry. They are like the quintessential watercolor techniques. And a lot of folks, we don't, when we're first starting out, we see them as very separate techniques. But the beauty of wet on wet and wet on dry is that they are separate techniques, but they are their most lovely and fascinating when we realize how they work together. And what do I mean by that? Oh, thank you. Watching a professional. Most days. Okay. So wet on dry is how, so I'm giving you an example of what I'm talking about. Wet on dry is how I start most paintings. But very quickly, because I've wet the page, my technique goes right to wet on wet. Like right now, I'm lifting in a wet on wet area, right? So it's when you truly start, and I know it seems simple, like, well, yeah, once you put water down, it's wet and wet. But when you really start grasping that concept and thinking that way, things start to change in your painting. They really do. And that kind of stuff starts to happen. So good. So I'm really excited. And I think I'm most excited because I'm going to do some lifting here, friends, in the center. So if you want to watch that, clean brush, blot, scoop, blot. So I hired a gal to do the video editing for me because that's what was really holding me up. So I hired her for a couple hours a week to just edit my videos, and she just delivered the first edit, and I'm so excited because I was really worried, like, how is someone who's not a painter and who's not me, who's not literally inside my head, how the heck are they going to edit a video that I've filmed and done a voiceover for? And she nailed it. So I am really excited because that means I'm going to be able to start delivering YouTube videos on a weekly basis. Whereas before I never could because I just never had time for the editing. Like I would film, but then never be able to edit. And it was so frustrating. But anyway, it might be TMI for you, but I wanted to share that because I am excited. I'm going to be uploading that really soon. Thank you. I forget how much I love to paint irises. They are one of the most expressive flowers. Plus they have all of that. Like I don't have to make up all of the like little linear details that I love to add so much. They actually exist in, you know, IRL, in real life in these flowers. So I don't even have to make them up. So when this first layer dries, you bet your butt I will be in here like having at it with that fine brush and having the time of my life. I had no intention of painting an iris tonight, but I'm glad. I'm glad someone suggested it. Cause she's fun. I know. I'm excited about the heavy dose of blue. And so I'm so glad you said that. So I'm going to zoom in. This is a great example of why I do not force myself to mix on a palette. Okay, I'm going to try to explain it. I'm really excited. So if I had tried to get this effect, I would have had to mix this light lilac-y color, this kind of indigo color, because none of these colors existed. This kind of dirty peach where these three colors intersect. I would have had to try to mix those three. And you know what would have ended up happening? Because they all have kind of a muddier quality to them on their own. If I had mixed three muddy colors and then painted with three muddy colors, what do you think would have happened? I would have had a muddy petal. It would have looked very dull and drab. But instead, I took three pure colors that weren't muddy. They are slightly opaque for sure, but not muddy. And I let them mingle where they wanted to mingle. And the effect is so much more dynamic and exciting. Yeah. And that's why I do what I do and why I do it the way I do it. Because I want watercolor, I want the spirit of watercolor to kind of be alive and well on my page. I don't want to try to stifle what watercolor wants to do. I want to like invite those happy accidents to happen. So, yeah, sorry, I get really passionate. Yeah, they mingle. I use that description all the time. Mingle is one of my favorite words when I talk about art. All right. I'm going to start doing some detailing up here. I am not copying things verbatim. I'm grabbing actually one of those soft pinks. I'm gonna see how I feel about it. That was my instinct, because I think that, yep, that soft pink against the peach is noticeable but soft. Look at that, isn't that pretty? So it's like a shell pink. I actually think that might be the name of it. A little bit. So what I just did now, I'm gonna show you. I went like this, and then I went into this red ever so slightly, and then I went into this orange ever so slightly. I know, you think I'm insane. I know you do. And I just did that, boom, boom, boom. And look at that beautiful color. Look at that. I didn't mix it. I just went dab, dab, dab on my palette. Done. Look at that. Just a little bit of brightness. Little something. And no, thank you, Bob Ross, shout out. Woo! Happy little brush strokes. No, sorry, I had to do it. And no, will you ever get that color exactly like that again? No. And that is, I guess, for some, that would be a sacrifice to this style of painting. Oh, but who cares? Who cares? What you're getting, you're recreating, you're trying to elevate the beauty of nature, and nature is never the same twice. Never. Am I looking at the flower right now, worrying about where these lines should go? What do you think? Nope. I'm looking at the marks that I've made. I might glance up. I did just glance up just for like 2 seconds. But I'm following the contours of the brush strokes that I confidently and joyfully laid down on this paper. I'm following those contours to make these linear details. Now this is still damp here, but I'm purposely going in damp with a little bit of that shell pink mixed with a little bit of lilac. I love starting linear details in damp areas because look what happens. It diffuses those lines that I'm making. It's lovely. Lovely. I don't want hard, bold lines everywhere. Now I just mixed a peach and a tiny bit of red. I don't want bold lines everywhere, crisp lines everywhere, especially not in an iris, especially. Now, I am craving a little bit of crispness because everything's really fuzzy and diffused right now. Let's see if we're dry up here. We are, so I'm gonna go and put some tiny strokes. Oh, it's damp down here, that's okay. I'm gonna get some shadows into the bearded part of my iris, and it's gonna make me feel good about life. Oh, friends, I love this iris so much right now. She's giving me life. Oh, she's giving me life. Let's do a little detailing while things dry up here in the hot zone, so to speak. Because right now, I'm going to let you again inside my brain. Right now, I am overjoyed with how this is going. And I have no problem saying that. There's nothing wrong with saying that you're really excited about a part of your painting. All right, I am overjoyed with it. But I also realize that things are pretty wet up in there and I don't want to lose control. So I'm gonna go elsewhere. Gonna let things kind of settle out up there and dry. And I'm gonna go down here to my little bud. I'm gonna see about adding some detail. I made up this bud, so I have nothing to look at. I have nothing to trust but myself. So I'm following the contours, exaggerating the contours. Oh my gosh, friends, this is so much fun. I was not expecting this when I came on. This is why you have to paint when you feel like crap. This is why you have to paint when you don't feel like painting. Let me say that again. This is why moments like this. This is why you have to paint when you think you might paint some ugly. You just feel like you've got some ugly in you because you don't know. You don't know if you're about to have this experience. And if you knew you were going to have this experience, wouldn't you sit down to paint right now? And I'm not saying you don't know if you would paint something that looked just like mine. No, that's not what I'm saying. You don't know when your next joyful, connected, flowing painting experience is just right around the corner, and you never know. So give yourself the respect and make time. Carve that time out to paint and see if this is your moment. Even if it's not your moment, even if you sit down, you're frustrated, you're feeling like junk, and you decide to paint, and it's just kind of a want, you're still going to pull a little joy from that. I guarantee you're going to pull a little joy from that experience. I'm loving, I've painted a couple irises in the last few months, and every time I have, they've made me very happy. Can someone please remind me of that in like a month? Say, comment on one of my posts and be like, hey, Kristy, paint an iris, okay? It'll be our little secret. Nobody else will be like, why? Everybody will be like, why are they saying paint an iris on a video about... But we'll know. Things are starting to dry up in the hot zone. So I'm going to go in. Still not looking at my inspiration. I'm trusting myself. Am I thrilled with those strokes right there? No. So I am, and this is something I do a lot. I went back into the hot zone, not feeling it. I'm going to lift those out and I'm going to get out. I'm going to stay out because it's not feeling right. So I'm going to get out. I'm going to let it dry again. Get out of there. There. Paint recommendations. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really happy with the Mission Gold palette that I'm using right at the very moment. Mission Gold, I bought this for the first time a few years ago. I bought the tube set on Amazon. If you go to the link in my bio, you can, if you just, there's a button that says Kristy's Favorites on Amazon, and you'll see it's like a 60 tube set, something like that, or maybe 48. I don't know. It's quite a large set, and it's maybe 60. It might be about $1 or $2, but I'm going based on memory, so please forgive me if I'm wrong. What was I saying? I bought the Mission Gold years ago, and it has been a go-to of mine again and again and again. I love it so much. Love it. Amazon, the half pans, just search half pans on Amazon, or watercolor half pans. I like the clear ones. It's just a weird thing of mine, but obviously, like, I didn't always use clear. These are white, or they were white. But yeah, you can find them on Amazon. You can get vintage tins on Etsy. That's my go-to, Etsy. And oh yeah, also eBay for the vintage tins. And also the little magnets. Just search like, I seriously think I searched like tiny magnets when I first started looking for them. I really think that's what I searched. Using the cat's tongue, little bit of cat's tongue. Yeah, it does change. I do build my own sets primarily, not always. Like I certainly, you know, I collect watercolors, so I have all the watercolors, but like I take Crayolas and put them in vintage tins. That's one way I create my sets. Sometimes I will buy, like, this is a set I've been meaning to switch out. So this is Sennelier, that's how you pronounce it. Just a small set of the French watercolor Sennelier. And it's just in a really boring tin. And I keep thinking I want to switch this out into something fun. So I'll do things like that. And then, of course, my favorite is buying the tubes and making my own half pan sets. That is by far my favorite way to go. Do I have a YouTube video for making my own palette? Not currently, but I'm going to soon. I'm going to do, I'm just trying to decide on what I want to get. There's a couple of watercolor brands I've got my eye on. So I'm just trying to figure out which one I want to do. And I may very well, do a giveaway and make the palette and then do a giveaway. So that sounds like a fun idea. It's just something I've been tossing around. So, yes, I now have 2 videos on TikTok, how to make your own palette. Right. But I kind of want to do like a longer length one to really go into the detail and also to go into some of the frustrations that come with making your own palette. Like, I'll just tell you, like, one of the things that's super frustrating is the magnets, and you can't sit the pans next to one another, especially when you're filling them, because the magnets are so strong. They kind of like attract each other and it can create quite the mess. So this paper is 9 by 12. Yeah, so the colors, as you paint, they settle into the paper, they soften. It's very typical for colors to deepen a little. And they also continue to move. Even you won't see them move, but as they dry, they're moving, they're soaking deeper into the fibers, and the whole vibe of the color changes. So it's a really fun transformation, and just another reason why you really have to surrender to watercolor, because watercolor, it's its own boss. You can only boss around watercolor so much. Thank you. I love them too. I have to be careful because sometimes I overdo it. It's easy to overdo it. I love going outside the edges of the brush strokes I made sometimes, like right there. That's a classic example of a little technique that I'll do. It just livens things up and gives it a sense of movement. So I don't confine myself when I do these linear details. I don't have to stay in the lines. If it feels right, I go right outside of the lines. Especially with a ruffly flower like an iris. Lends itself to that kind of freedom. See that? Isn't that just lovely? You can change your pressure on a detail brush like this and get these variant thicknesses of line, which is just so lovely. I'm gonna stop right there right now. I'm very happy with this this area right here, so I'm just gonna tread very lightly and not try to overdo it. This is one part that I'm not super happy with, so I am gonna do a little bit there. I'm not sure what yet. I'm gonna go light though. And then I think what I'm going to do is try to lift a little bit of that harsh little downturned stroke. Let's see. I don't know. Mission Gold lifts beautifully. It's not, most of their colors are not highly staining. So, thank you, friends. You've been so kind. All right, yeah, we're getting this back. All right, now that is not where I want to land with that, but it's very wet and I don't want to overwork it, so I'm gonna back away from that area and come back to it later. And that is, you know, I talk a lot about surrender in watercolor, and that is an act of surrender because the watercolor needs me to leave it be. I could try to boss it around, but it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well if I try to boss her around right now. I'm going to do some very light detailing here. I try to avoid having, you know, overload of detail in all the places. That just keeps things interesting. So it may just be that little bit. We'll see. I come back to it. So I've been thinking about this piece right here. Yeah, I love the lifting. The lifting is awesome. Brave. Lifting requires a certain level of bravery because you could, you know, lifting is putting stress on the paper. I am going to make this little bud more alive. I feel like it was very distracting just as it was. It was just this very strong shape, taking attention away from this beauty here. So I am going to make it appear as if this bud is more open in an attempt to try to soften this shape. So more lifting. When I lift and you see me kind of swirling and scrubbing the paper, I am using barely any pressure because I do not want to damage the paper. Okay, not finished there. I'm also going to let that dry. What fun. A little too much yellow here. I'm going to do some lifting. That bright yellow that I laid down really traveled some. Just blot and then scoop and then blot and then scoop. Remember, when you're lifting, you can be shaping, so you don't have to just scoop in a very like regimented way, you can scoop in a direction like I just did there. Add more clean water if you want to continue the lifting. Kind of, you can almost lift like you're painting a brush stroke, but you're actually removing color, but you're removing it in with dimension. You're giving the removal brush stroke dimension. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I need to do a whole video on lifting, I think. I like the bud too. I think I'm gonna like her more now. I'm gonna try something. Still needs work. Still needs a little work, but all very wet areas, and I don't want to push the issue. So I think we're going to stop there for now. So yes, you can shape in detail when lifting. I tend to lift like upwards, not down. Sometimes to the side, but usually it's upwards. Thank you, friends. I did not draw a thing in pencil. Not tonight. Valid question, though, because I have been drawing in pencil this week. All right, friends. I'm going to give you a close-up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I'm going to give you a little looky-loo. I'm so glad you had fun. I had an absolute blast. A lot of this is still a work in progress, but I need to let things dry. I'm in love with this bud. I don't think I will be touching that bud at all. I honestly don't think I'll touch much more on the flower either. I'm very happy. The brush strokes feel intentional. I might do a little more linear detailing in the upper left, where those linear strokes that are existing all feel kind of the same thickness, just to vary that a little bit. And then I'm going to do more work on this bottom left bud. But yeah, I love both buds. I'm happy with both. I think I need to bring some little hint of peachiness in here. So, well, friends, this week has been all about peonies, and apparently it's also Iris week, and more of a little bit more of a realistic push. Which I know this would not be realistic for some people, but this is a little more on the realistic side for me, detailed side. So thank you, friends. This has been such fun. And just remember, of course, I repurpose these and I put them on my YouTube channel, but I'm also recording new YouTube content as we speak. And we'll be launching kind of the first video. I have a whole new format. It's a little bit more professional and slick, better video quality, and I'm really excited to launch the first new video and kind of relaunch the channel soon. So if you don't already subscribe over on YouTube, just search Kristy Rice or head to the link in bio and click on the YouTube button to see the latest YouTube video that I've published, and subscribe so that you don't miss the relaunch of my channel. All right, friends, this has been an absolute wonderful blessing tonight. Thank you. All right. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Yeah, me too. Totally looking forward to it being brought to life. It's been a journey. All right, friends, take care.